Hi guys, I'm Vivian from LogosEAP, and it is really good to talk to you again. Because of the coronavirus, we're currently taking a little break here, so I'm here to help you to continue to study at home so that you don't have to forget about English, right? So, did you guys all got the homework and then the quarter review paper that I gave it to you? Great. You might have a little problem while you're working on these questions. So here I am to help you to check all of the answers together. All right. So let's get started. So this is a lecture for a quarter review paper and level sophomore. Let's get started. So first session will be vocabulary session and it will be 50 points. And all of the Korean already have been given to you, right? So you're supposed to write it down, all of the English word in the right spells and part of a speech, and put the word into the right position and create your own example sentences, right? We already have been trained for this format a lot, so I believe that you know how to do it. When you finish all of the sentence writing, then the teacher will collect your answer and then give you individual advice about your grammatical errors. Okay, and now let's move to next part. It's gonna be reading comprehension for 50 points as well. And read the story and find the correct answers. Okay, so let's look at this article together. You've already covered this article on your textbook or workbook. This is Sammy's missing acorn. Do you remember this story, guys? Right? It was about the squirrel, right? So there were two squirrels. First one named Sammy, and the other one named Larry, right? Right. Sammy was the hardworking one. He's collecting his acorns for winter so hard, and lazy Larry was stealing Sammy's acorns. Do you remember? So we're gonna look at the questions together. Number one, Sammy saw acorns all over Larry's house. Yes, true or false? It's true. If you look at the line, third line from the bottom here, lazy Larry's house and saw acorns all over, right? And number two, Sammy wasn't missing his acorn, did he? Didn't he miss anything? So over here, he missed 10 first, and then 20 acorns were missing after, and eventually another 15 acorns were missing as well. So fourth, he missed total 45 acorns, right? And number three, Sammy wasn't happy with Larry. Is that true? Of course, he stole. But we also have a hint from the article as well over here. That's awful. I'm not happy and that's awful. Those kind of a feeling that we can assume Sammy wasn't really happy. And number four, Larry ran off to dig up more acorns because Larry didn't really dig up for acorn. He was just stealing, right? So that's also false. And Larry did not give back the acorns, did he? Let's look at the last sentence over here. Larry apologized. What's apologize, guys? Yes, it's about it's like saying sorry for some actions that he have done, right? So Larry said sorry, Larry apologized and returned 45 acorns to Sammy. Good. And let's move to next story. Okay, next article is about Grandpa's story, right? So tell me a story, Grandpa. Okay, says Grandpa. So this is about the conversation between grandfather and grandchildren, right? And the grandpa said, I'll tell you a story about my grandfather, Carlo. So Carlo is grandfather's grandfather, right? So, in 1910, Carlo was 10 years old, and he and his family lived in Italy. They were very poor, so they came to the United States for a better life. Okay, so whole family moved from Italy to United States for a better life, right? This was the first time that Carlo traveled to a place far away. Really, I'm 10 too, said Henry. So the grandchildren's name is Henry and he's 10 years old, right? And Mom, Dad, and I visit a different country every summer. Yes, Henry, things are different now, said Grandpa. How did you travel here? Asked Henry. They traveled by ship, says Grandpa. It wasn't an easy trip because the ship was crowded and dirty. What does it mean, crowded, guys? Yes, many people are inside of some place, right? So, the ship has a lot of people and it's quite dirty. So, the trip was not easy. It was not easy, right? There weren't much food and many people got sick. Carl was sick too. They arrived at Ellis Island in New York after 10 days. So basically, long time ago, they took the ship and it took 10 days to travel. Wow, that's slow, said Henry. Now it only takes about 9 hours in an airplane. I know, says Grandpa. It's very different today. So, do you guys remember this story? It is about difference between nowadays and the past. Right? So there was some different ways about the transportation. Nowadays we have a fast airplane and cars and the technology has been developed, so everything is pretty convenient, but long time ago it was not like that. So let's look up questions together. Number 6, how old is Henry? Henry was the same age with the Carlo at that time, so he was 10 years old. 7, why did Carlo's family decide to move to the United States? Over here, third lines on the paragraph, for a better life. So the answer will be number 4. 8, Carlo is grandfather's grandfather, and Alice is an island in New York. That's right. Good job. How long did it take to New York from Italy when Carlo family traveled to New York? We already covered this one, right? It took 10 days. Okay, next paragraph. It's about things we subtract. So we have 3 different cases over here. 1, we use subtraction every day. When we buy things, we subtract to find out how much money we have left. Look at this example. Rosa had $10. So she had $10 first. Sorry for bad handwriting. And then she bought a book for $4. So she bought a book for $4 and then she takes away 4 from 10. So this is the formula. Takes away 4 from 10 equals, find out she has $6 to left. Easy, right? Number 2, we can subtract time too. For example, Kabir's class starts in 45 minutes. So he can walk to the class in 30 minutes. He subtracted 30 from 45. So subtract 30 from 45 equals, he has 15 minutes left. Good. And number 3, you try this one. Miss Zurilis is baking a pie. She put the pie in the oven 10 minutes ago. It needs to be baked for 15 minutes. So 10 minutes ago, they put it in, but the total time will be 15 minutes. So we can subtract 10 from 50 and still the cookie has to be baked for another 40 minutes, right? Okay, so based on this story, let's look up the questions together. 11. When we buy things, we subtract to find out how much money we can have. Is that true? Here, first line, we subtract to find out how much money we have left. So that could be true. Good. And now let's look at the next page. Oops, I have to erase those things first. Okay, so keep looking for 12. After Losa buys the book, she has $6 to spend. Is that true? True, we already calculated, right? And Kabir needs to hurry because he has 15 minutes to get to the class. True. Miss Zerilis pie still needs to be baked for 10 minutes. Was it 10 minutes? They already baked. She already baked for 10 minutes, but total time was a 50. So she has to bake another 40 minutes more. So that's a fourth. And number 15, we use subtraction for counting time and baking. That's right. That was the example cases, right? Okay, now let's move to the next part. Okay, are you guys following well so far? So let's cover the next article together. So my grandma's grandparents. How did your grandparents meet, Grandma? Asks Wendy. My grandpa Charles and Grandma Betty were neighbors. Important point, so that I highlighted. And then classmates, says Grandma. In New York? Asked Wendy. No, Wendy, they lived in England, says Grandma. When Grandpa Charles was 20, he traveled to New York, but Grandma Betty stays in England. So, how did they contact each other? They contacted by mail. They mailed letters to each other. But the letters arrived 1 month later. It took really long time. So, Grandma Betty missed Grandpa Charles, so she traveled from England by ship, and ship also took a long time. She arrived in New York after 7 days. So the trip was awful because it was really long. Wow, now people often fly between England and New York, and they got there on the same day, says Wendy. So it's again about the transportation between past and now. Let's look at number 16. Grandpa Charles and Grandma Betty were neighbors. So if you look at the third line over here, they were neighbors, right? Let's keep looking for the next slide. 17. When they were children, Grandpa Charles and Grandma Betty lived in England, right? And Grandma Betty mailed a letter to Grandpa Charles to contact each other, but the letter took so long, so she decided to take a travel on the ship to New York. Grandma Betty was not happy because the trip to New York was so long. It took 7 days, right? All right, so let's keep looking. Next slide. Okay, finally, it's the last paragraph. The title is Travel. People long ago walked from place to place or traveled by horse or cart. When they traveled long distances, they went by train or ship. It was slow and difficult. Today, we can travel in cars, fast trains, buses, or airplanes to go to places that are far away. We can travel to places across the ocean or across the world in a day. Travel is fast and easy now. So, this is about how we can travel compared to the past and nowadays, right? So, the question is 21. How did people travel long ago? They walked from place to place or by horse or carts, right? And how was the trip long ago? It was very slow and difficult. And how do people travel now? over here we have cars and fast trains, buses, airplanes, subways. We have so many different types of transportation, right? So it's a pretty easy and fast now. And why do we travel all around the world in a day? How can we travel some place to another place in a day, like even country, right? That's because we have fast airplane, right? Okay, this is the ending of the reading part. Now let's cover the grammar part. Okay, so answer the question and use the word in the box. We use this word and we have to create our own answers. So number 1, what did they cook? To create your sentence, you have to focus on the verb tense, right? So here, did, so that's gonna be past tense, and we're gonna use past verb. So what did they cook? So the food. About the food, baked cookies or soup can be options. First answer option can be they baked cookies or they made soup. Can be also another answer, right? And number 2, what did they do? They went to the library. Yes, so it's about also action and the past verb. And if you want to answer like using soup, it can be possible too because it's another action too, right? And number 3, how did they travel? This one asked with how, so we have to talk about the transportation, which is by car, and the past, so past the verb here for traveled, right? And number 4, what did she do? Here, look at the picture. She's listening something, right? It can be music or radio. Both are correct. So the important thing is did. So we have to use the past tense. She listened to music, right? And number 5, what did they do? Also, they are making something and squeezing some creams or things. So it might be cupcakes or cookies, right? So we use past verb again. They made cupcakes. They made cookies. Those kind of thing can be answered, right? Let's move to the next page. Number 6, write the questions and then answer the questions with your own word. This is important. You have to create your own answer. So, he did dinner cook. If we want to make the question sentence, then we have to figure out subject and verb, right? Let me write it down using the pen over here. So, yes, pen. So, subject and verb, right? So if we want to make a question, then modal verb can jump before the subject instead of the verb. So did he cook dinner, right? And in here we don't put like cooked, right? Because this is the modal verb, the King's family, no makeup, original verb, right? And the answer can be anything that you want. You might say, yes, he did, the shortest version, or yes, he made soup, or yes, he made something else. Everything can be option, right? Number 8, did, the subject is they, and the verb is a walk, right? So the verb cannot jump in front of the subject because it doesn't have any power because it's a normal verb. So the modal verb did, instead of a walk, did come to the front. So did they walk to the playground? And the shortest answer can be yes, they did, or no, they went to the library, or no, they went to somewhere else. Anything can be possible answer. Number 10, subject, Jack and Jenny, verb, do, and then same like did, jump it before the subject, but we have WH. So WH word always has to be in front of the sentence, and then it's like the extended version of a question. What did Jack and Jenny do, right? So we have to talk about the action. So this is open questions. We cannot answer this question with a yes or no. So we have to put subject and a verb. So they went to the library, or they made cookies. Whatever, you can put the subject and a verb into the right position and create your own answers. Okay, let's move to the next page. But before that, let me erase everything over here. Yes. Oops. I wish I have the super eraser that I can clean at all once, right? Maybe there might be. Okay, so next page is 12. Complete the sentences, use the simple past. The important part is a simple past. We have to use the verb over here. So they give the given word is a buy. The past version of a buy is boat, but in here we cannot use boat because yes, there is modal verb, which is didn't. So after modal verb, we have to write it down, original verb, right? After King's family, no makeup. And she saw you at school. So in this case, there is no negative word over here. So this is just a positive sentence. So we gotta use past version. And same here, no negative. So just the subject and verb. Here, this didn't is already showing us the past, so we don't have to use both instead of a buy, right? And next, move to the next one. Complete the sentences using the simple verb. Here, let's use the verb over here. We use travel and then we make the question. Anything that you can make. All I have to see is you use subject and travel as a verb, and then to make the question sentence, you have to put some of modal verb over here. It can be do you or did you or some other types of modal verb like can you or will you. Everything can be possible answer. And number 16, negative sentence. To make the negative, we have to put not, right? But unfortunately, arrive is just a normal verb which doesn't have power to put not. So instead of arrive, not, we have to ask some help to put not behind. So this modal verb, which is King's family, can help to make this verb into the negative, right? So I didn't arrive at 7. I don't, I won't, those kind of a thing can be option for the answers. And number 17, WH question. It's easy. We have to, well, normal sentence goes a subject and a verb, but normally if we want to make the question sentence, the verb has to jump in front of the subject, right? But if it's a normal verb, that it doesn't have a power, so we put like do or does or did, right? Do, does, did. But this is just a simple question structure. If we want to use WH, then we can just put WH in front of the sentence. So, did you play? That's a normal sentence, but we can just put WH word, what did you play? Or where did you play? Or how did you play? When did you play? Those kind of a thing can be option for answers, right? Number 18, positive sentence. Positive sentence, just subject and then verb, right? So I try to use the past version, but if you prefer to use present tense, it's also fine as long as you have the right structure in order. Okay, now let's move to okay, I have to erase all the things. Oh, this is a little uncomfortable. I'll figure out how to do it. Okay, so now we're almost done. Let's move to the next part. Let's go. Okay, so change the given sentence into the negative or positive using the simple verb. So Alma bought 5 cookies here. And now we have to make it negative. So try to find out a subject and a verb. Alma bought. This is action, right? We make negative. We have to put not. But this boat doesn't have any power to put, so instead of by not or boat not, we get help from do, does, did. And this is the past version, so I used the past one. So Alma didn't buy 5 cookies. She didn't give her 26. So she didn't give her 26, positive, then we have to get rid of this negative part, right? But we have to be careful with the verb tense because of it didn't means passive. That's a past version, so we also have to use past version, which is gave, not give, right? And the last part, circle the correct word. Did you? Because of a did, the king's family, we have to use original version. This one already show it's a past, so we don't have to use the past verb again. The dog still stole. Which one can be answered? This one cannot be an option because if it's possible, if we make the possible present tense, then the dog is the same with the eat, right? If subject comes he, she, eat, then we have to put s after the verb, right? But in this case, there is no s, so this is not correct in grammatical way. In that case, the past version is only one option. And did you go is the normal question. We want to put WH word, but which one can be right? Go. Then we have to talk about some place, right? So where can refer about the place. So that can be an option. And 24, whose cookies are those? So we have to talk about some persons, like we call possessive pronoun, right? So theirs means some persons, thing, right? But there means only for some persons. So if you want to use this word, then you have to put another noun over here. But do we have any noun? No, period. So we have to use the package one. So the whose cookies are those? They are theirs or their cookies. If there is a word for cookies, then it can be option, but in here, there is nothing, so only theirs. Same here. Whose sneakers are those? They are hers or her sneakers, right? Okay, guys, you did very good job. And I really thank for watching this video and following all the information with me. So I'm so proud of you. Okay, so I hope that you can enjoy the rest of the time. And if you have a further question, then I'm always open to get your questions. So please contact to your homeroom teacher. Bye, guys. Did a great job. See you later.